it's Jenny. Welcome to another process video today, and this time I'm still working with my hip kit for October, and I have a photo here of my cat, and my daughter had taken this photo. She couldn't find the cat and she ended up finding her sitting underneath her blanket on the end of her bed. So I'm making a layout about that, and I'm wanting to replicate the stripes in the knitted blanket. So I use some branding strips and some strips of paper, and thought that was a good way to pull in the stripes into this layout. So this layout was a bit of a frustration layout for me. As you can see there, I was thinking about putting some layers in the back, as I usually do, layering things up, but then I decided to just see what it looked like with the stripes, and I'll go with that. So it was a little bit of a frustration layout just because it didn't necessarily come together the way that I wanted it to, and some of the products didn't work the way I wanted them to work, but you know, I like the layout in the end, so that's all that matters. So I have mixed up here two colours of gelatos, and when I stamped them on, I got this yucky, muddy brown. So I'm not sure if my paintbrush was dirty or the stamp was a bit dirty, but it was a pink and a coral, so a brown should not have happened. So I'm looking at the mix that I've mixed again, and it doesn't look brown on my finger, but I decided to add a little bit more pink in there as the background paper is pink anyway, and I've decided to use that. So I cleaned off my stamp and I'm going again. So you can't tell the muddy piece underneath, that all gets hidden. So that was a Kaiser stamp, Kaiser background stamp that I'm using, and it's a bubble wrap sort of stamp, and I've decided to use that, like I said, just for a bit of texture on the page, because I'm not doing lots of paper layers, but I don't necessarily like the way they turned out, but you know, I'll keep working with it. So here I am now, I have those strips left over from the last layouts that I did, and I have just done nothing to them, haven't cut them down, so some are a bit longer, some are a bit shorter, and I quite like the way that looks. And here I am turning the page around and around and around. So I'm trying to look whether I like the strips on either side of the layout. So every time I turn the page, the bubbles sit in a different position. So I was just trying to see whether I liked the bubbles in a different spot, and in the end I turned it back around to where I had it. So I want to use a little piece of this lovely paper from the Maggie Holmes open book collection, but I know that I would like to use the outside bit for a background with a white piece of cardstock, so I just cut the middle out first and then cut a piece out of the middle, so that way I can use the background again for another layout. So I've at this point in time just having a look at where the strips go and where I would like them to go, I guess. So I have got one of the little cutouts there that says photographed, recorded, happy heart and love you, and that was from the the 12 by 12 cut apart sheet from Maggie Holmes. So here I go. I've realized that I haven't got the spots low enough, and when I mix up some more paint, or some gelatos I should say, I haven't mixed the same colors. So it is a little bit different, but I'm trying to just, you know, go with that and not worry so much about it. So I've stuck the sticky tape on the back, and I'm sticking it to that little background piece, which was a feather piece from Elle Studio from the Sycamore Lane range, I think it is called, and just sticking that down. Just chopping off the border strip, and I'm going to place those strips down where I think that they will go the best, and mixing up the colours a little bit so that all the yellows aren't at the top, but all of those colours were in the blanket, and so I thought that actually looked really good. So here I am committing to the first strip, and I'm just using my ruler to put the first one straight, because I know then all the other ones will be straight as well, and it doesn't matter if I overlap them a little bit, just as long as they're not on really crooked. So I spare you watching me stick all those down, and there you go, the magic of processing. We are back and they are stuck. So I also had pre-organised those letter stickers, the thickers, and my son and I had gone through leftovers and tried to make up words, and so that is one of the words that we came up with. And so at the moment I've got that Heidi Swap little mini stencil out, at the little triangles, and I'm adding a little bit more yellow to the page using that, and I decided that I would like to do some more stenciling on top, and I grabbed this little one. I'm not sure, is that a houndstooth? I think it is, I'm not sure, but I use a little bit of orange through that one, and in real life I can see that there's a difference in the patterns and the colours, but on the video they kind of blend into each other, so it does look better in real life than it does there. It looks a little bit of a hot mess at the moment, but it actually worked. The photos looked okay, or the layout I should say in the end looks okay. So just working out how low I want my photo to go down, and because I would like it to take a little bit of space at the top, so I push it up a little bit further, but I'm still trying to work in that details die cut and a couple of other die cuts from the collection, but I soon decide that no, I don't really want to go with them, and I end up not being able to work that here and now die cut either, so I take that off as well, even though I did like the look of that. But I thought, there's so much happening going on with the stripes or the strips of paper and the textured background that I did, and so therefore, you know, this was just looking like a bit too much. So even though I love my layers, this wasn't a time to put them. So I've just grabbed these cork pieces from L Studio, the Sycamore Lane collection as well were in the kit, so I've pulled out one of those that I want to use, and I end up pulling out some more as well, and add a little bit of paint to them though, because I didn't particularly like the way they looked. So there I am fiddling around with the placement of that photo, trying to see how far or how high I can take it, and I'm pretty happy with it about there, but I decide that I need a few more of these cork embellishments to go with it. So just pulling out what I think I could use. So they were pretty dark in colour. I can't say that I necessarily liked this little collection of cork. Maybe it's because it's not fall here down under, and you know, it's summer here, so they didn't really match the look that I was going for at the time. But the other day I saw on Erit's video, she put a little bit of paint over them and they worked out well, so I thought that I would do that. So I've used a little bit of Tim Holtz Distress Paint in Victorian Velvet, and I've added a little bit of that, and then I decide that it needs a little bit of yellow as well, so I just pull out a little bit of craft paint. That's just a cheap craft paint, and I just add a little bit of yellow, and I'm sorry that I'm doing that off screen and that you can't really see. I'm just adding a little bit to one of the sides, and in the end it actually pretty much soaks all the way in anyway, and a lot of the brown tones you can see. So just using up that little bit of leftover paint and splattering a little bit onto the page. Couldn't quite get it to come off and work, so I had to keep trying, but eventually I got a few little spots, and adding a little bit of that Victorian Velvet as well. and then I just clean up the paint and all ready to go. So just having a look now, drying it up a little bit so that I don't put my hands in it or stick the photo in it, and I'm just putting some foam tape on the back of the photo so that I can lift the photo off the page a little bit and give it a little bit of dimension so that it's not so flat. And the little red bits on the back were really hard to get off that roll of tape, so it takes me a while to do that. So just having a look at the placement now, and not sure whether I want to keep all of those elements of cork. I've got 4 on there, but I think I like the look of 3 better, and trying to work out which ones I could actually use. But for this one I decided to take off the love this and just use the arrows and the little camera, and I end up getting rid of that here and now little die cut as well, because it just wasn't sitting right with me and didn't really like the look of it at the time, so I just got rid of it. So here I am, just have unclogged my glossy accents, and I am sticking the letters down, because a lot of us know that these chipboard letters from thickers, American Crafts, the thickers, they don't stick, so they sit on for the layout, and as soon as you pull them up they all flop down. So I've stuck them on to make sure that they're not falling anywhere and they are staying put forever. And have just stuck a bit of glossy accents on those cork pieces as well. So now I just think I'd like to fill in the little camera hole there, and I found a little gem, and that was a Glitz Design gem, I think from their Uncharted Waters collection. So that wasn't in the kit, that was just from my stash. So I've used that, and I'm looking at it and I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to add my black splatters to finish, and I've got to really work up the black ink because it's just about out, so I'll need to go to the shops sometime this week and pick myself up another bottle. So there you go, the layout's just about done, so I'll show you some close-ups. Thank you for joining me today, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!